Hello everybody, so today I want to look at signed distance fields, which also is known as SDFs. And this is a subject which I've had a bit of a problem with for quite some time, but I think I've finally got my head around it, and because of that I'm now going to pass that information on to you. And they are extremely good when creating collisions, and let me explain this why. So I want to go into here, and I've already created something to help us, right? So let's go into this part here. This is here. Okay, maybe I need a different viewpoint. Yeah, okay, this is better. All right, so what can I see? Let me also change this to wireframe. There we go. So all I have now is this box. This box in the center, and I've got this sphere, okay? And I can see that this sphere is moving across there. Now we would know that this ball is going to hit this sphere about this area here, and in most cases would bounce off, of course, right? However, let's see the problem with it. So I'll go back and I'll push forward the frames. Okay, it's all looking good. And then what happens there? Well, doesn't touch, does it? It goes right through. Now you have to remember that this box that you've created is actually empty inside, right? There's nothing in there. It's just the surface that you've created, and inside it's filled with nothing. There's no volume in there. There's nothing, right? So let's go forward again. Doesn't hit it. Keeps going through. Doesn't hit it. Okay, so it looks, when I'm animating it, it looks like it's hitting it, but it actually isn't, right? Each frame it misses. Now, why would this be problematic? The problem is that it won't recognize that it's made a collision and will just go straight through. Won't pay any attention to it. So, solutions. Well, there are a couple. One of them is to create more sub-steps, which would mean that per frame I'm now going to get more calculations. So I would maybe create a new frame every, say, half frame. Or I could create 4 frames and make one every quarter frame, right? This will make this movement more accurate and increases the possibility of this hitting. In this case, it would certainly do that. However, it depends on the animation. If this ball was going faster, maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it would still go straight through. And the big negative with it is that it means you've got to process more information. So if I'm creating something every half frame, then my calculation speed is going to decrease by 1/2, right? If I do it by substeps of 4, it's going to decrease by 4. Now, of course, again, in this situation, it won't make any difference because this calculation is very basic. But when you've got thousands or even millions of points bouncing around, you've got a problem, right? It's going to be really, really slow, and even some of the fastest computers will struggle with it. So, another solution, and the solution is something called SDFs, the thing that we've been talking about. And what the SDF does, it allows us to create kind of a volume inside of here, and the SDF itself will create a value, and that value will be connected to the distance from the surface. The value, anything outside will have a positive value. Anything inside will now have a negative value. And it will be created from the voxels that we saw before when we created the VDBs, right? It's a lot to remember this. But basically what you need to know is that the inside will be a negative value, and the outside voxels, they will be a positive value. Okay? Now when the object hits a voxel that is a negative value in its SDF negative value, guess what? It's going to recognize that it's hit and therefore bounce. So here, this one will recognize that it's now hit the object and can bounce away, right? Also all of these, and then this one I'm going to have a positive value. So what I would have is here positive, 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 negative, 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 positive, right? Hope that makes a bit of sense. Let's look at this inside of here. I think is probably a better idea. Let me think how I want to do this. Let me again create, I'm going to create this pig head, okay? Because I'm just really into my pig head at the moment. God knows why. Okay, so there's the pig head. And let me think now. Oh yes, I want to create a VDB from polygons. So let's go with a P from polygons. There we go. And now I'm going to see, let me get rid of this, back onto here. I can see that I have got all of these are little voxels which are created here to create my SDF. Now of course remember the size of the voxels will make this more accurate. So if I was to go say to this -0.5, I can see that this is improving in accuracy. Of course there's a little bit more calculation time, but that's it, right? And if I went to say 1, I can see that it's very not detailed. Doesn't matter, because I'm thinking about my ball that's going to go through there and make a collision. So how does it calculate this? There's a way to visualize this, luckily, and this is using the volume. There should be a one volume slice. There we go. All right, so let's put this volume slice in. First of all, I can see that it's got colors. I want to change the position. Let's change it there. There we go. Sorry. And I can see that that this color here is the volume where it is. But I want to see the SDF values. So let me now I'm on here. I've got to create some kind of visualization for this. Let me see. Let's add a, by the way, I hit the D key there to open the options, and I'm going to go for a marker. Yep, okay, good. And I'm going to create the attribute, the density. Okay, this is cool. Now I've got everything that I need. Happy days. Okay, and can I put this on? There we go, I've got that. Okay, and I think I might also be able to put my wireframe back. There we go. Now it makes more sense. Okay, so I've got these numbers here. If I go in, and I can see that anything that's outside of my object, in fact, let me go here. All right, I can see anything that's outside of my object is positive. And I can see when it goes inside the object, this value is negative, right? And so this tells me that anything that's negative is inside the object, anything that's positive is outside of the object. And that's perfect, because later when we create collisions, now it won't have any problems being able to identify which part on here is the surface. Okay, now this will make a bit more sense hopefully in the next few lessons when we'll go back to pops and we'll look at collisions again. But I wanted you to understand how an SDF works, what it is. You might have to watch this lesson a few times in order to grasp the idea, and like I said, I've struggled with this concept, but it's now starting to make sense finally. So yeah, basically that's what you need to know. An SDF, anything that's negative is inside the object, anything that's positive is outside of the object. And so when you're creating a collision or an object to collide, as soon as it hits a voxel with a negative value, it will know that it's inside the object and therefore to make that collision happen. All right, hope that helped. That was a tough one. Alright guys, so any questions? I'm sure there's a lot. Write them down below. If there's any problems, I'll try to maybe create an update video for this. But it'd be interesting to see if you understand it or not. Also, actually, if you understand it, please put a comment about that too, and then at least I will know that I'm on the right track here. Alright guys, great talking to you, and I'll speak again soon.